So we're going after influence. How do you influence people? You use the word in your introduction. How do you influence them? By having a relationship with them, something you want with Durant, correct? You said, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to have a relationship back with my son like it used to be a couple years ago. We're going after influence, and we go through influence through relationship. What's it take to have a relationship? Being vulnerable. Being vulnerable allows people to hurt you. Now, how do you feel?
Now?
Yeah, right now, how do you feel?
I'm fine.
That is a horrible word. How do you feel?
A little tired.
Okay, you're walking a fine line. We'll talk about that. How do you feel?
Oh, I have a cold.
Yeah, I really don't.
Miserable right now.
Fantastic. Again, you're walking the fine line. If you're referencing the cold, I really don't care. How do you feel?
Like part of a group? I don't know. What are you? Happy?
That's a horrible word as well, but you got a whole lot of cognitive happening right now. How do you feel?
I'm engaged by this.
Yeah, the best word we got yet, engaged. Fantastic. How do you feel?
Disappointed.
Excellent. How do you feel?
Oh, I was going to say tired also.
Oh, you're walking that line, huh?
I don't know. I mean, about like right this minute or in general, how do I feel? Or like, how do I feel about being here today? How do I feel about my general situation?
See, I love that you're just like going crazy up here. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So, what I am referencing is not a cognitive process so much, nor is it a physical process. So if you're miserable physically, like I don't really care. If you're tired physically, I don't really care because I'm interested in the emotional experience. So feelings, the idea of an emotional sensation, it's one of those things that makes us human. It's awesome. Ingles is our local Western North Carolina grocery store. They send out the Sunday circular flyer, Frosted Flakes are on sale this week. Sweet, I'm going in to buy Frosted Flakes. Get to the grocery store, I go to buy Frosted Flakes. They're sold out. I have an emotional experience. I can't stop it, it just happens. Generally it's like, now I have to make a decision. Do I buy a different cereal or do I go to a different Ingles? But I have the emotional experience that I can't stop from happening. It's one of the growing trends over the last 25, 30 years in mental health work is this idea of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not Buddha sitting in the corner meditating his life away in a lotus position. That's not it. It's simply understanding how you feel in any given moment and then the ability to navigate or communicate that feeling. That's what kids end up getting sent to SUWS for. You're not upset as parents that your kids are depressed or that your kids are anxious. It's what they do to represent that gets them sent to SUWS. The feeling's the feeling. Like you're engaged, you're disappointed. Like I'm thrilled that you're disappointed. It's like, sweet, I have no idea what you're disappointed about, but it's like fantastic. Like that's an understanding of an emotional experience right now. And so our kids are awesome at, some of you use the word manipulating, but this idea of driving our emotional experience as parents. 23 years, 24 years, I am sure you have caused emotional experiences in one another over the 23, 24 years. I'm sure that's happened. However, that little baby bundle of joy takes your emotional experience and jacks it up, even more than 23 or 24 years of marriage. You have never felt love like you felt for that little baby bundle of joy. You've never felt pride like, that's my boy, yeah. Or thrill like, oh, get it, buddy, get it. Or go get it, girl. Like you just have such pride, such love, such excitement when they discover something or learn something. It's like, yeah, like it is unbelievable how much they jack that dial of emotional experience in you. But the same is true when it's like, whew, I've never been so disappointed in my life. I've never been so let down. Again, it's that same emotion, but just jacked, because it's your kid. It's great. It's unfortunate sometimes, but it is great. So, what happens in relationships is oftentimes, especially with our kids, we protect them from how we're really feeling, or we misrepresent to them how we're really feeling. And so one of the first things that we teach here at SUWS, not only to you guys, but also to your kids, is the simple process of communicating feelings effectively. Because that allows us to build the relationship. Because if we don't have this, you're never going to have influence. I will tell you all day long, you're never going to have control. So if you're going after a position of control in parenting, you might as well walk out of here and go shopping in Asheville, because I got nothing. Because it will not work. But what you can go after is influence. It's the long, slow road, because you got to have this first. And so if I'm going to be vulnerable with someone to engage them in the potential of a relationship, it's about communicating how I feel. Junior, ever miss curfew? You ever miss curfew?
Didn't really work. You mean when I was growing up?
No, it did your son, William.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, first time you missed curfew, how'd you feel?
Well, more worried than anything.
Okay. How'd you meet him at the door?
I was pretty mad at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
Did you go right to the place of the interrogation? Who are you with? What have you been doing?
Yeah, I didn't do it quite like that. I'm not as imposing as you, but yeah, I did.
What are you saying, I'm a threat? But the idea of, you just said you were pretty worried, actually.
Yeah, but I was...
But what does this communicate to him? A whole lot of anger. Yet, did he get that you were worried? No, he probably got that you were pissed.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I'm not saying it's just Pete that does this. We oftentimes do this with our spouses, our co-parents, and our kids. We misrepresent how we actually feel. So, we're going to talk about how we actually feel and how we communicate it. At SUWS, we use this thing called a FAB statement. It is basic, it is awkward, and I have no problem admitting it's awkward. Your kids tell me every day, Sean, this is not how people talk in the real world. Yeah, you're right, buddy. Okay. However, it's a skill. We're going to talk a whole lot about skills today. Anybody ever learn a new skill? You're a biker. You ever reference this idea of doing a manual. How many times you fall off the bike learning how to do a manual? All right. But you fall off. Anybody learn how to golf, shoot free throws, knit, crochet? I don't care what, cook. How many times you chop your finger off? Well, maybe not chop the finger off, but cut yourself when you learn how to cook. How many times do you make mistakes when you learn how to do skills? Great. So I expect you to make mistakes, and I expect it to feel awkward because I'm asking you to do something new. So, a FAB statement. I feel. Ashley, identify a feeling for me.
Anxious.
Excellent. Good work, man. You feel anxious about what? Because, why?
Because the past has not been kind recently.
Okay, so that was actually a okay FAB statement. Oh, don't clap yet. I'm letting them off the hook. I'm being a little permissive. Yeah, so anxious was great. The trick with FAB statements is they're about me. I. Let's pretend your kids are oppositional. It's a general quality that shows up at SUWS. They're strong-willed. They're going to do life their way, which is great because they won't take no for an answer. It makes them hard to parent, but they will change the world because they are not taking no for an answer. However, if you take or talk or speak to an oppositional person and you use the word you, they immediately go into this position, either metaphorically or literally. All right? They're going to come at you. Do not tell me how I feel. Do not tell me what I did to you. So, it shows up as an argument in a family situation. And all of a sudden you're arguing, it's like, all right, fine, I didn't mean to use that word. And it's like, Junior's coming at you, guns blazing. So a FAB statement it's not going to end an argument, but it's very difficult. If you do this right, it's difficult to argue with how you feel. Like, all right, I'll try because I'm oppositional, but ultimately, like, my dad, my mom is representing how they feel, and I can't really do much with it. So the fab statement has to be an I or me-based statement. The about can have, I feel worried about you missing curfew. There's some you in there, but this because statement has to be back to me. So the future was uncertain. Whose future? Yours.
Right.
You know, even if you use like our future, I don't want you speaking for each other right now. I want you to speak for you. Even after 24 years of marriage, you probably can finish some of her sentences, but I want her to make sure like, hey, I am communicating. This is my feeling. So make this about me, all right? Don't make it about you. If you put a you here and a you here, you're going to have this. All right? So do not make it about you. It's a me-based statement. How do you feel?
Feel overwhelmed
About?
the next couple days?
Because? Okay? This is going to be hard for what?
For me.
Amen. Had that long dramatic pause. I was like, please throw it in there. Yeah, this is going to be hard. It's not hard for me. I love this shit. I love it. It's not hard at all for me. But when you say this is going to be hard for me, you nailed it. Way to go. Well done.
That was hard.
So there's a cheat page in there. So when I went around the room and said, how do you feel, how do you feel, how do you feel? I could watch the gears spinning up there. Okay, you're an intellectual person that really appreciates how your brain works. It's time to get in touch with the heart. I love that you're wearing a star on your heart. All right? There's a page in there. It's like 45, 50 different feeling words. Start to practice using your feelings vocabulary because we're trying to get Junior to do the same thing. Again, you're not upset that they're anxious. You're not upset that they're oppressed. You're not upset that they're overwhelmed. But it's how they're communicating it that we're trying to shift at SUWS. So how is one of the ways they're going to learn to do it? By hearing it from you guys. Be the example. Role model it. All right. Alan, how do you feel?
Feel sad
About?
about obviously where my daughter is right now in her life
Because?
because I feel like I failed.
Okay. Coach, how do you do?
I think you did fine.
Find such a crappy word, but yeah, he did. He did. He had a little fist bump over there. Because, yeah, you're worried about you feel sad about where your daughter is in life right now. But ultimately, where do you show up in that? It's your daughter's life. Where do you show up? Hey, I feel like I failed. That's where I show up. It's fantastic. Thank you. How do you feel?
Disappointed.
About?
Landing on the lower left of the XY graph.
Because?
I don't know if I can get to the upper right quickly.
Coach, how do you do?
Fine.
Oh, God, I hate that word.
I don't know. Are we?
Critique him. How do you do? Did he have a feeling?
He had a feeling. And
What was it about?
He referenced himself, so he completed the task.
He completed the task. And it was a kind of cognitive process. He kind of keeps everything at bay. So what I want you to think about metaphorically is a nice, neat little Tiffany's box. It's generally small because that's all anybody can afford. It's perfect though. That bow is perfect. Everything is neat and tidy. So he did that, but it was difficult. It wasn't such a neat little Tiffany box. So go after the heart, Lance. I'm going to harass you all day long. All right? So you feel disappointed about being in that lower left quadrant, and you're concerned about whether or not you can get to that one fast enough. It's awesome. Thanks for that vulnerability. I appreciate it. All right. Ashley, what do you got?
You already did.
Oh, and you think that's going to get you off the hook?
No.
You come with a whole bunch of coaches. Yeah.
I'll read. How about I start where I was before? I feel anxious about the next month because I'm worried that my expectations are too high for what my son comes home.
Okay. How do you do? Yeah, it's not bad. And be careful. I'm worried about my expectations being too high for when my son comes home. Be careful with that. That's kind of walking that fine line. You may just limit it as like, hey, I'm worried about my expectations being too high. Sometimes for me, sometimes for him, sometimes for Jill.
Okay.
You know, or I can't remember your other son's name, I'm sorry. Garrett. And sometimes for Garrett. So just be careful, all right? So again, this is a simple, I get it's a simple structured thing. I know that. However, if you start to practice it and do it over and over and over, it gets really easy for this stuff to roll off the tongue. And what happens is speaking from an I position allows you to maintain the relationship. When you're in a relationship with somebody, things happen. You're gonna be disappointed. Bad things happen. Your spouses, your kids, anybody you care about that you're in a relationship, things are gonna happen. Bad things happen. They're gonna let you down. And you have to be able to communicate that hard thought in a way that protects the relationship. This is a way that does it. I can look at my wife like she doesn't put gas in the car. And so I go out to the car, I get in the car, I'm like, put gas in the car. No, I got to do it, and I'm pissed, and da-da-da. I can go up to her and be like, why didn't you put gas in the car? I mean, come on. I can communicate a whole lot, or I can go up to her and be like, hey, look, sweetie, I feel really disrespected about you not putting gas in the car because I want my time to be valued. And it's saying the same thing, but it's a lot less aggressive. I want her to know how I feel, not protecting her from that. But I'm doing it in a way that protects the relationship. Rather than me pointing the finger at her, like, what the hell are you thinking? Come on. I mean, really? I'm protecting this. And that allows me, once I protect this, it allows me to influence behavior. Maybe next time when she drives by the gas thing, she'll be like, oh, maybe I should put gas in the car because I didn't like that feeling when my husband was disappointed with me. I didn't like that, so maybe I'll put gas in the car this time. And now I've influenced her actions, which is what you're after with your kids. Okay? Simple. So now go through life. It's a practice, literally. Go through life. Mindfulness, the idea. Like, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? You're all driving away from here tonight to go to a hotel. You're going to drive up the old Fort Mountain with construction. Some idiot's going to like wait till the last minute to pull in. You're going to have an emotional experience to that idiot driving. Be like, oh, how do I feel right now? If they have Florida tags, you'll really have an emotional experience because they'll be in the left lane going 40 miles an hour. All right? So just go through life, understanding how do I feel and then how am I representing it? Oftentimes we protect our kids from seeing us as individuals. At this point in your career, 14's the youngest guy in the room. At this point in your parenting career, you can no longer protect Junior from how you feel, how their actions make you feel. You're not just mom, you're not just dad. You show up, and I want Junior to know it, but I want Junior to get how you feel in a safe and controlled fashion, which is this, instead of, where the hell have you been? How dare you fail a drug test? I mean, what are you thinking? Come on. It's a whole lot of shame based in those statements. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? I'm really concerned about you failing a drug test because I'm worried about you. I am. I'm worried. Okay? So practice, practice, practice. Anybody a basketball fan? Anybody? All right. Talking to Allen Iverson 10 years ago. Talking about practice. Talking about practice. Yeah. He said like practice 47 times in 2 minutes. Exactly. And that's what I am talking about. All the things we do today, we're talking about practice. Your kids do fab statements all day long. Junior doesn't hike up the mountain. Durant refuses to leave base. Man, I wanted to go give Durant a friggin' fab statement. So the idea is like anything happens at SUWS. How we navigate that is a fab statement. Your kids are gonna come out of SUWS way better at fab statements than you ever will be because we practice this over and over and over. If you sit here for 2 days and I, ballpark 14 different skills that we talk about the next 2 days. If you don't practice any of them, when Junior comes home, you're not gonna be any better than you are when you came in. You have to practice, okay? So, tonight, go give fab statements to the waiters and waitresses. Send your food back to the kitchen. Insult the chef and give him a fab statement just for the hell of it. Because you need to practice. That's all I'm asking. All right.
You know, I do that all the time and it doesn't help.
I was gonna say, isn't it possible you can say, I feel upset because you came home late and I was worried about you?
Uh-huh.
And he can say, well, F you, Mom.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, I am not after changing Junior's behavior in the next 2 days. I'm not. I'm after what you can do. And so fab statements is one thing towards protecting the relationship. We're going to talk about all different things. But ultimately, there is no magic. If you do this, then if you give a fab statement and Junior shows up, gee, thanks, Mom. Thanks for sharing your feelings. I'm so glad. Like, that's not going to happen. All right? But what it does is it continues to keep this safe. Oftentimes, we have any number of opportunities to fracture our relationship with the people we love and care about. And we do it over and over and over. And so I'm going to ask you to try and keep doing these things to maintain that, because that will allow that. Junior's not going to come out of SUWS and be like, well, Mom, I really appreciate that you're sharing your feelings with me. Thank you so much. I'm not going to go get high. Like, they're not going to do that. All right? He's going to be like, thanks. And you're vulnerable? And what's vulnerable mean? It means you can take whatever you just said and it's going to come back at you a weapon. So you said, hey, I don't remember what the feeling was, but about my daughter, where my daughter is right now because I feel like I failed. She's going to take that, your vulnerability, and be like, yeah, you suck as a dad. I wouldn't be here if you were such a bad dad. That's absolutely what the vulnerable position is going to be. Your kids are still going to take all your feelings and throw them right back at you. They will. You're not in control of them. You're only in control of you. So just keep demonstrating, yeah, I hear I'm a bad dad. Yep. Work on what you can control, not how Junior responds, okay? You're not in control of Junior responding. You're only in control of what you give.